This is the Polished Business Podcast, where we discuss everything business, boss, and books. My name is Kimberly Beadle, and I am a registered BAS agent here in Australia, a certified bookkeeper, and I have a BA in psychology. And I am absolutely obsessed with supporting businesses and their success. Thank you for joining me today. I'm here with Keith from CAAA. He is an accountant, an expert in that accounting field. I'm very excited to have him today. Keith, can you tell us a little bit about your company and what you specialize in?
Well, my company started about 30 odd years ago with one person, but we've since expanded. I started with CAAA about 13 years ago, then became a partner shortly thereafter. Since then, we've expanded just from a Sydney office to Penrith, Parramatta, Brisbane, Melbourne, of course, Illawarra, and looking at Newcastle and a few other places as well. Specialisation, that's one thing I've liked about our firm. We don't necessarily specialise in anything. We just, there are some accounting firms that will just deal with doctors or just deal with builders. We just try and cater to anyone that just wants to get good advice at a reasonable price and that wants to grow and do things. So,
Would you say that you have help a wide variety of industries currently?
absolutely. I mean, I could take a phone call tomorrow from someone, a sole trader who might earn $20,000 or $30,000 a year, and then I might speak to a company we have to lodge with because they earn over $50 or $100 million a year. There's everything in between. See, within our firm we do have different people who specialise in different things. So if I don't know something, then I have other people that I can thankfully rely on and ask questions and get the right answers for people.
That's good. And I know you said a few of your locations there. Do you only support businesses that are in around that area, or are you
No.
able to, because these things are online so much
Yes.
these days, I think you're probably like me with the BAS and bookkeeping side of things that, we can help
Yeah.
nationally. Is that accurate for you guys too?
Yeah. Well, I can say there was previously I had a client that I dealt with for 15 plus years, and it was only in the 13th year that I actually met them in person, and I didn't even know they were coming into our office because they're coming to use some of our other services. And I just ran into them in the hallway. I deal with that person multiple hours at a time on phone call, just going through whatever they needed. It comes down to what the client wants. I prefer in person, but there are people who prefer just on phone, others who prefer video. It doesn't matter. We just, as long as we can provide the service and we can keep people happy, we'll do whatever we need to do.
That's good. And it keeps it, a wide range of locations of people that you can support
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, I'm going to jump into our questions that we hold for the business services and support experts like yourself. What do you love most about your job?
Two sides. One is just meeting new people and talking to them about what they want in their business and where they want to go, and then trying to then come up with some solutions to get them there. Well, I can't get them there. That's the bottom line. They have to do it. But to be able to get them there in a much easier or straightforward fashion and try and avoid those hiccups or speed humps that might come later. One of the things I like about where my firm is, we always hire graduates out of uni, so to then train up the next generation. And most of the staff that I get through my team, they've ended up going on to either be managers, directors, or other things. Thankfully, a lot of times in our firm, but sometimes, they go on elsewhere. But I think we give them enough skills to be able to further what they need to do as well.
Oh, that's great. We do that too within my business, but I've had heaps of employees that they end up going elsewhere. I'm always their
Yes.
biggest advocate that they're moving or they need different hours or they just want to focus on different things. No worries. And I'm sure you sound like you would be on the same page where if they need a referral, I'm first in there. And I have 100% track record of being a referral from my employees that have moved on and they've gotten the job. So I love that.
Absolutely. Look, there's very few employees I've had that have decided that they want to move on that I wouldn't say, if you want to come back, that I wouldn't take them on. But there are just
100%.
certain things that we just can't offer. And, everyone's got their own different things. I had one lady who was actually not very good at one stage. I had a very hard conversation with her and she turned it
Mhm.
right around, which was good. And that was pleasing to
That's
see.
good.
But then she wanted to get into a lot more corporate finance. I couldn't do that. So I gave her some contacts and, I speak to her every now and then just to make sure, as a sounding board for whatever she does. And she's doing fantastic. So,
Amazing. I love
yeah.
that. Yeah, there's so many people looking to work that you might as well get the people that wanna work for you, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, what about your profession do many people not realize you can help with or do?
Yeah. So not so much the profession, although it probably goes a lot, but certainly with our firm, we have a wide variety of services. And one thing is we do offer, we have finance brokers. So whether it's home loans or business loans or things like that. So we work very closely with them to then be able to give them the information they need to be able to get the loans through. And one thing concerns me is most people are always about whatever the lowest interest rate is, which is great. All right. But sometimes certain loans that are a very low interest rate don't suit the purposes. So it's more
Mm,
about just making sure that you get that right thing. So it's just one of the extra services we offer that most people don't know about, where we're also going into financial planning, especially in our Melbourne division and also Sydney. So, there's whatever we can do. Legal, though, that's probably the hardest. So I just stick with the contacts I have to be able to forward on to those.
absolutely.
Uh,
And would you say, because that's a nice wide range of services, and I think I know a lot of businesses would kind of be curious to explore those services, but maybe if they're already, let's just say that they're using you as an accountant
yep.
and then they go, maybe I want to get a finance quote for this situation. But then for whatever reason, they end up going with, their cousin Bob's,
Yep.
friend of a friend. Does that change the relationship being their accountant at all, or
No,
is it still
no,
like, do you have
no.
a
I have quite a few clients that have their own brokers and they've used them for many years. And I've got
okay.
quite close to them, just about whatever the client needs. So we will just then provide whatever the broker needs. Having the broker in-house just makes it a little bit easier for giving the information across. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
But I will not force any of my clients to go, no, if you want me, you have to use all these services. No,
Mhm.
you tell me what you want to use, what I can provide, and I just want clients to get the best experience, whether it's with me or somebody else. It's for them, not me.
I agree with that. Sometimes, especially when we get enthusiastic on my side of my business and I've got all these different things we
Yep.
can help with, I start rambling off about it. I'd never want people to feel pressured that you have to use all of our
No.
services. I don't care. You
No.
just letting you know what we can help you with. And if that helps you, cool, great. We're here for it. But if not,
100%.
that's fine too. We're just you guys probably expanded to have those extra services because you saw the need for it. Your clients are asking about it. So I'm guessing,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the
yeah.
fact that, we're expanding across different states and things like that, it's just, there are certain clients that just want to walk in and they just want to deal with one person and get everything done. There are
Mhm.
others that go, no, I just want to specialize in this, 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 and this. No problems. Whatever works. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But what is the most common mistake you see businesses or business owners make?
The It's funny. It's all about, for me, in most cases, it's about the setup. The first question I ask anyone when they see me and go, oh, I want to start this business, I want to do that. First question I ask is, how do you want to get out of it? How do you want to stop doing what you're doing? And it
What's your
normally
end
stops
game?
people from, yes, that exactly. What the end game is, because the way you set up a business can run in multiple different ways, but if you want to sell it to, an overseas entity, or if you want to transfer it to a family member, or if you
Mhm.
want to go, no, I'm just going to earn the money from this and then I want it to wind down. It's not going to continue after me. The setup of that is very, very different. Everyone goes, oh, yes, I need a company. I need an ABN. I need this. I need that. Yeah, you're going to need an ABN, but you don't necessarily need a company. You may not need, you know, a GST registration. You may not need certain other things. It just depends on what you go, and also just planning that out. To
Mhm.
go, okay, well, when you start this, then we need to add this on or change this or whatever else, because if you don't get it right at the start, the costs at the end can be horrendous.
Absolutely. Absolutely, especially with changing over, and I see a lot of clients say pass on their businesses to their kids, well, the adult
Yeah.
kids as they grow up. And then there's a whole mess involved there, usually talking to an accountant to fix it up. There's
Yes.
often too, I see the question of if you get somebody who is set up with a particular structure, is it ever, in your opinion, when you say is it ever too late to change that structure to something that's better fitting for them? Is that something that people do? If you're a sole
It's
trader to a company or a company to a partnership or any which way?
Look, it's never too late, but you've got to ascertain what the costs are of doing it. And so right now, for example, with some of the legislations coming through, we're seeing a lot of changes within super funds of what they're owning and bits and pieces where, if we'd known about some of the new legislations coming out, if we'd known about that 10 years ago, you'd never have done certain things that you've done. So you can't, avoid that. It's just what's going to
You
be.
won't, there's no way to
But
know. Yeah.
it's the only time anyone's really going to lose out is if they say, hang on, I need to get this done within, say, let's 6 months or 12 months. Because as soon as you rush it, there are costs and they're just extra on top of what they normally would be. But sometimes changing structures, you might get advice costs, but we can eliminate certain taxes depending on the situation. But other times it might be a cost. You might have to pay extra tax or transfer duties or whatever else to the government, which no one likes to do. But then you've got to have a look at what's the end goal. Is it going to
Yeah.
then be better off? So what's that cost benefit? Which is a couple of things I'm going through actually with a couple of clients right now. Yeah, and it is going to be quite costly for them to change things, but is it worth the tens of thousands of dollars they're going to have to do to it
Yeah.
for the benefit they're going to get in the next 10 years? And that's what we're working through at the moment for a couple.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And this is going off book a little bit, but one of the most common things I see with our clients is sole traders deciding to become companies.
Yep.
Would you say, as general as possible, uh, what is the kickoff point of like, okay, you should consider no longer being a sole trader? Because I know the rules and legislations keep changing and people
Yep.
keep getting confused. So, really generally, talk to your accountant people,
Yes.
but different people have different circumstances, just to put out that liability clause there. But in your opinion, generally, what's the triggers of, hey, maybe you should consider going from sole trader to something else?
To me, there's three things. One is if they've changed what their end goal is. They might have decided, no, we're just going to run this into the ground, just earn some income, and that's just going to be our lifestyle, but we're not going to sell it. Then they decide to sell it. It's much easier to sell it through a corporate structure than what it is as a sole trader. The other is risk. As soon as if you're a sole trader, you're taking on a lot of risk if something goes wrong with the business or your personal assets are at risk. So as soon as you start family or buying a house or those sort of things where you got assets you want to keep, then maybe you want to transfer some stuff to a company, the business side to a company so it doesn't interact. The other thing I find most people used to be down to the pub, talk online or just talk with friends and they go, oh yes, my mate did set it up as this. And so they'll come in and say, I want to set up as this.
Yeah.
Why? They don't understand. So it's just making sure you understand why you're doing it. To set up a corporate, it costs more to start off with. Absolutely. But what are the benefits of it?
But cost more, is it like
Yeah.
$1,000 to set it up as a sole trader versus $3,000 to set it up as a company or something like that? Or is it something different? Just,
No,
I know sometimes people might hear that word, it costs more.
yes.
Is it tens of thousands of dollars more? Or is
No.
it,
It's a couple of thousand
just,
more depending on one or the
yeah,
other. But
yeah,
then it's also, if you have extra entities, of course, you're going to then get more costs with lodgements with ASIC, with the ATO, BASs, things like that, because you've got to do two. You've got to still do your personal stuff and then you've still got to do the corporate stuff or structural stuff. But most of the costs are one-off to start off
yeah,
with. And then it's just making sure people understand that, okay, yes, you've now got some extra entities here. And in a lot of ways, I refer to it as an insurance cost for most people is that, if you want to segregate your assets and save them, you're paying a little bit of extra to have it in a corporate structure, but it reduces any risk you've got of losing your house or other things. And that's extreme circumstances. I mean, most
yeah,
people don't want to take people's houses, but there are some people out there that will fight for every dime,
yeah.
even if they don't deserve it.
100%,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yes.
Okay. What do you wish every business owner would consider or understand?
Uh,
in relation to the services and products you
yes,
provide, or just in
this
general?
tax is not everything. Now, I
Okay.
deal with tax all day. Okay, I tell you now, I try and not avoid tax, but reduce as much tax clients have to pay as possible within the rules and whatever else. But I find everyone just goes, "Oh, I'm going to save this tax." At the end of the day, if you've got a successful business and you're making money, you're going to have to pay some sort of tax. My job is just to make sure that it's in the most efficient way possible. So, it's to me, don't just consider that one aspect. Think about all of it. What's your end goal? Why are you trying to achieve that? We pay for, again, insurances. Do we need them? Maybe, maybe not, but they're just in case. So this sort of thing is, what is our end goal? How can we achieve that better? Yes, we're going to have to pay some tax on the way, but if we're paying the taxes, we're making money, we've been successful. We just got to make sure that we're paying it in the most efficient way. And at the end of the day, as little as we need to, according to legislation, but there will be something there.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I see that a lot, especially with clients will start doing really well but their expenses don't change too much and their
Yep.
income goes up. And, we handle their BASes and they go, "Oh, why is my BAS double what it usually is?" Like,
Yeah.
because your sales doubled.
Yes.
Yeah, they say, you spend money to make money, but it costs to be successful. But we try and, being involved and seeing that progress and trying to remind people, put that 10% of your sales away
To the
into a
GST.
separate
Yes.
account because
Yes.
you have to give it back to the ATM.
Yes. Well, just on that, I find that especially when businesses become more successful and they have a very good year, they then have a really cash flow issue around that June, July period. If they have the
Mm,
15th of May lodgement, because they'll have the tax on the business that they've got to pay around, middle of beginning to middle of June. But then they have that quarterly installment, which if they
yeah.
haven't been paying that, it's almost identical to the amount of tax they've got to pay a month or two later before they
Yeah.
then go into quarterly amounts. So it's always that first hit, especially when a business is just starting off. So it's one of
It can be
those
a big
deals.
surprise,
Yes.
especially certain industries too, like in hospitality or anything that works with food, and not realizing so many of their purchases don't even have GST in it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have, BASes will be high. And then your income, your profit margin might be a bit of a surprise in the financial year.
Yeah.
I like to tell people that income tax is, we probably should have covered this earlier in the podcast,
That's all right.
but income tax is based on the profit margin of your business. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your total income and your total expenses, but
Yes.
that profit margin between the two, that's what you pay tax on. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
It is. And one of the biggest questions I get is, oh, hang on, I don't have any cash. I've paid all this out. Why am I now paying tax? They're different. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it just comes down to legislation on what you can claim, when you can claim it, how you can do it. It's just one of those things. But generally speaking, it's based on that profit margin. But of course, then you've got accounting versus tax. So your books might show one figure, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden your tax accounts show something completely different. And it just
You have
depends
to
on whether
take
you get some.
into account depreciation and
Yeah.
assets and whatever you guys do. I just tell our clients, then the accountant will do their thing and they'll work it out, and then they'll tell you what the taxable income is.
Yes, which is
Yeah.
unfortunately different to sometimes that bottom line. But as I
Yeah.
said, the biggest thing is about, I don't have any cash. I've paid everything out. How can I have
Mm,
tax payable?
mm,
Well,
mm.
yes, unfortunately you can, because some of your purchases might be capitalized instead of deductible.
Right.
And so they're then done over a period later, which, as you said, is depreciation. But there are other things that go with that as well.
But you guys work it out, and then they just see how it all works out and can move forward, not think about it ever again.
Well, that depends on the client. So, some don't want to think about it. They just want to go, okay, that's what it is. Others want to know in detail. And so we'll sit down and go through and say, this is why. And because what you do this year might also affect next year, especially with depreciation or any other
Mm.
incentives that the government may give from year to year. We had that depreciation write-off, which got up to a very significant amount at one stage. and then has now dropped where whether you can get upfront deductions or whether you got depreciated over for life, which could be in some cases 20 plus years.
100%. Yeah. An important topic, so much to discuss. We'll continue the conversation in the next episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Polished Business Podcast. Check out all our episodes for valuable information for the business boss and books. To apply to be a guest or stay connected, follow Polished Business on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to join the Polished Business platform for free support or one of our paid tiers. All the best in your business journey.